Welcome to the Deep Three podcast. I am your host, the one, the only, per usual, Sandman himself, with, of course, the one and only KOB. What's good, my guy?
You know, living the dream in the corner of my kitchen.
Can we get a boost man, ladies and gentlemen? Can we get a boost man for not having a background?
Oh,
Thank you. So, how has life been without basketball so far?
Empty, absolutely empty. I mean, I'm. What's the point? There's what football? Am I supposed baseball? Trash.
Stop it! Stop it! Don't even talk about baseball and all this. So, how are you killing your time now in these evenings?
Crying.
Just downtime. Just downtime. Show the audience what you're drinking, sir.
My sorrows away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm over here being healthy, the Colorado way. We doing pull-ups over there. I got my pull-up bar. Wow. Got my water, living the life. But let's get into this. NBA season is over, but still a lot to talk about. A lot of coaching vacancies, basically. And then next few weeks, probably the next month, we'll start talking about the draft and free agency trade speculations. And we'll go from there, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into this will be our season 1 finale of the podcast. Don't worry, we won't be gone for too long. Most likely a 2-week hiatus just for us to develop some real content. I know you guys don't want to just keep hearing us blabber about nothing. We want to diversify, get some more fun things, get some people basically off the streets to be on a podcast. And, who knows, it might be a hint, a game show that we might want to bring with us moving forward. So we really do appreciate you guys listening to us, following us. 45 episodes, Kevin. That's nuts. I don't think we thought we would get this far. Especially with the bubble and everything before that COVID. We thought we probably had to cancel the episode for like a long time. I mean, we had no content to talk about. It was really tough. But luckily, a lot of things happened. The Last Dance gave us a lot of time to recover, and here we are, 45 episodes deep, season finale. I know Matt would want to be here. Super busy for him. Sucks he's not here, but hopefully he'll be here for the beginning of the second season. And let's just jump into this with our NBA updates. I think the biggest one for here is Stan Van Gundy, our boy, Biggie McGee over here, the new head coach for the New Orleans Pelicans. Is this a surprise for you, or I didn't hear his name come up at all, throughout any of these talks? That's how these coaches are and it's how the teams are. But what do you think about this?
I definitely was a little surprised to hear him out of nowhere. Like you said, there wasn't much discussion about it. But I don't think it's a bad choice. I'm not big on Stan Van Gundy. I'm not like for him or anything. But he's better than Ty Lue, which we'll get into in a little bit.
No, that's fair. As everyone knows, Stan Van Gundy was coach of the Pistons / also player of operations there. Didn't turn out, as we saw with the Thibodeau era in Minnesota, when you give a coach 2 positions, it's basically a double-edged sword at that point because they can make the wrong moves. And we've seen that with both of these teams. Because they're there. I feel like those positions are only worked towards the short run because coaches want the best players right then and there. And if you give the coach GM powers essentially 2K style, then we were here for the short run. They don't care about the money at that point. He brought in Blake Griffin. It didn't pan out at all, basically.
Yeah.
Prior to that, he did have a championship team with Dwight Howard in Orlando with the Magic, Vince Carter, Gilbert Arenas, Rashard Lewis. That was a really good team. Hedo Turkoglu, like surprisingly really good at what a potential super team was when Gilbert Arenas was like post gun incident in the locker room. Prior to that, he was on the 2006 staff, or I think right before that, of the Miami Heat with your boy Pat Riley coaching, with Dwayne Wade winning that championship for Miami. I think Stan Van Gundy is a really good coach because I think he reminds me of Tom Thibodeau in the sense of he's hard-headed, but I think he's able to evolve with the time just because he's been everywhere. He's been to when it was really good, he's been there when it was really bad. Thibodeau, on the other hand, has always been was there for one season when it was really good and then tanked for the rest of the time. And I think they both had really good mentors, either Pat Riley, Doc Rivers, kind of stuff like that. So I know something that Stan Van Gundy is that when he was with Miami, Miami's whole like mantra is like, how do you become physically fit? Like, I think you might have heard, especially with like Jimmy Butler, it's like, we need to make sure that you're at peak performance. So like they literally just do conditioning for a while. It sounds like it's high school style, but like they really enforced conditioning as like being the number one thing. Because if you're physically fit, you can do anything, which I believe that's kind of true.
We need that with Zion too on that team, on that New Orleans team. I think that's the biggest thing. Once Zion gets like fit, that's gonna be scary.
Yeah, you need that Zion to go from like chef's kitchen fridge to like a like college mini fridge. That'd be kind of nice, you know. But yeah, along those lines, and I think Stan Van Gundy is a really good defensive coach. That's how he got Dwight Howard to become like the best defensive player for like 5 years straight. So that's something that the New Orleans Pelicans team was lacking completely. Lonzo doesn't play defense. The only guy playing defense was realistically Drew Holiday. Like Brandon Ingram, the team was built on offense, but I think you need to shift the focus to being an actual team. But with this move, Kevin, do you think that the Pelicans are a serious threat coming into this next season, or do you think they still need more time?
I think they're still a bottom tier playoff threat. I don't think they're going to be a top 4 seed at all or anything like that. But I think a threat in the sense of 7th, maybe 6th seed if Van Gundy pans out. Because I do think they have a lot of good players. And even Lonzo at his core is a good player, but just makes like stupid mistakes, takes bad shots, and shit like that. And that, I think, someone like Van Gundy is the perfect guy to come in and just not take any of his shit. Basically call everyone out on their bullshit. Like, what we saw them play during the bubble was absolutely horrendous. And Stan Van Gundy would not have stood for that shit at all.
No, for sure. I would just go back that you just justified Lonzo Ball as a good player at core, and then just immediately call him a bad player instantly. You just call him stupid. You literally call him stupid. You literally call this man stupid. You say he has no sense of basketball, basically, at this point. We can rewind this track again. I'm just saying.
I'm saying fundamentally he has good fundamentals. He just doesn't on them half the time. Sometimes he does. Earlier in the season, he was looking pretty good, and then he stopped. Then he just stopped trying because he was like, "All right, we're not gonna make the playoffs. Fuck it."
Yeah. Okay. I see you there. I think he has a good skill set that needs to be actually executed in the right team. He hasn't found that with the Lakers. Bad coaching. New Orleans Pelicans, bad coaching. So maybe Stan Van Gundy, someone that has experience, can actually guide this team in the right direction. However, I'm still skeptical about this Pelicans team in terms of them being a real playoff threat, and even them like making. I know you were saying like 6 was a very high for them, but for me, I don't think they make the playoffs. I really don't think they make the playoffs just because, once again, the Golden State Warriors were not in the playoffs, and they're going to get Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, potentially Andrew Wiggins, or they can trade that with the second pick to go get a real star. They're going to win. These guys are going to be winners. I promise you. They are guaranteed in the top 8.
This is kind of going off subject a little bit. You think Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are going to come back at full force?
Yeah, they're going to be easily, hear this, ladies and gentlemen, easily a top 4 seed. Easily.
Okay.
Who is it? You have the Lakers, the Clippers. Does it even matter? It's going to be the Lakers again, right? Let's just be real. It's going to be the Lakers winning it again. When you have a greasy Paul George being lackluster in the playoffs per usual.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
And the hype around this Dallas Mavericks team that hasn't, obviously free agency happens, but they need to do some serious moves, revolving around Luka's success. And I really don't think it's Kristaps Porzingis. The guy's a glass jaw at this point.
I think they definitely need someone else. I think keeping KP if possible, yes. But the biggest thing is you got to get another big name, someone who can help Luka out and help him grow. And if you do that, then they're going to be way scarier than they were this year.
No, exactly. And then with Kristaps already signing a max contract, you know, even for Luka, after this next season, he gets his max contract deal. Like it's already set in stone, right? We know that he's going to get the big money. How many more people can you sign? You know, especially when Tim Hardaway Jr., who we think is actually a really good scorer on his own, but still getting some primetime money. You know, I'm not a big fan of that. You know, I'd rather get someone that's reliable. You know, there's obviously the rumors with Giannis being a solid fit, but the only way, in my opinion, on a side note, like Giannis is going to have to sign just because I think he doesn't have that kind of like ding dong ditch mentality. At least until the next contract, or at least halfway through the contract. You know, when he doesn't start making the playoffs, or he doesn't start getting into the finals year after year after year. And at that point, you have to do a sign and trade, and I don't think the Bucks would do like a Kristaps Porzingis in the trade just because it's not equal value at that point, right? But we'll have to see. But I can't count the Warriors. We just haven't seen them in full threat since they were going to win the title. They were going to beat the Raptors. I promise you, if they had everyone healthy, they were going to win the title like easily. But what do you got to say? What do you have to say on this?
I'm skeptical of, based on what the league looks like this year, I'm skeptical that Steph and Clay come back and are as powerful as they were before. I think the legacy of the Warriors is done. I genuinely think that. I think they'll make it to the playoffs. Don't get me wrong; they will make it to the playoffs easily. But I think a lot of teams will know what to expect at this point when seeing them, and I would be surprised if Steph and Clay are playing to their full potential, to playing what they were 4 years ago. Like, I would be very surprised. After not playing basketball for a year, basically, a year and a half, like, I don't know.
Basically, you just create the clickbait for our episode at this point that the Golden State Warriors legacy is over. You just ramshackle. You basically just demolished this team entirely. Given that they had the second overall pick, Andrew Wiggins to dump, they can go and get someone big. They can get Rudy Gobert or something like that.
That's the thing. If they make some good moves with that second pick, because if they get someone young, they're not going to be good. Like, I don't care who the second overall pick is. He's not going to be Steph Curry level right away, or Rudy Gobert level right away, or whatever. Yeah. I think if they trade it and get someone big, then you got potential to at least probably be a top 4 seed. But if you don't, if you just take the pick and run with it and try and build up a younger team, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, we saw what their team was without Steph and Clay. It's absolutely pathetic. It's embarrassing for basketball. So you're telling me, everyone gives the Lakers shit because they don't have a deep bench. Look at the fucking Golden State. You have two star players, and then everyone else is trash. I don't know.
So you eliminate Draymond Green as a star player. Is that what we're saying?
Not anymore. I genuinely don't think so. He's announcing on TNT. Get the fuck out of here. He's not a star player. Anyone who's announcing on TNT knows they're about done.
All right. We'll say this for a later discussion. All right, we'll say this for a later discussion. But speaking of people who have no hope, the Houston Rockets. Daryl Morey stepped down. I think it was kind of inevitable at this point. Just in terms of new ownership, Tillman Fertitta. In case you didn't know, he's actually basically he's basically all about the restaurant business, and he has so many restaurants everywhere. And obviously COVID happened, so a lot of restaurants were hit pretty hard with the pandemic. So he's been pretty cheap, in my opinion. All I'm saying is, as an owner, you're a multi-billionaire, but you want to own a team, but you want to be cheap. I don't get it. It's I don't understand the mentality of why you want to own a team at that point. Sure, it was bad timing, but it was you still have to spend money. That's how you become relevant. That's the whole point of being an owner, right? You make more money and you become relevant. the Warriors or like the Heat or stuff like that. Um, but Daryl Morey did step down. I think he created a phenomenal legacy in terms of how the game has evolved. Right, we all agree that he actually made stats meaningful in a lot of cases. Like people actually look at stats. Like he did Moneyball. That's kind of what he did, where he really just evaluated the stats, realized that wait, if we shoot more 3-pointers, then we'll probably like outrun most of these teams very easily instead of bruising our bodies into the paint every time. And in a lot of cases, that was pretty successful. 12 years as a Rockets GM, he did do the trade to get James Harden. He understand his value. He understood that how he should build around him. And like I said, focusing on the 3-point game. As much as it might have been boring, every team does that now, right? Every team focuses on corner 3 shooters because that's what gets you points. But with that being said, what does Daryl Morey do from here? Does he go for another job? Do we just call it quits at this point?
I mean, if I'm Daryl Morey, this is going to be caught out of the blue, and I don't think it could physically happen. But if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm calling up someone in Philly, being like, "Yo, your team's trash. You've tried everything. I got you. I know what to do. I can help you out." I mean, that's the whole thing we've seen in Philly is every year they have some new trade or whatever or contract that's like, oh, this is it. This is the final piece that's putting Philly together. And then every year they absolutely choke and they're just not as good as anyone thinks. And yeah, that's due to injuries, blah, 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 blah. But it's also due to having terrible management. And I think Daryl Morey has the resume to kind of to choose where he wants to go. And I think he could seriously go to somewhere and be like, hey, I can help you guys. And most teams would listen.
That's a good point. I guess I never really thought about even Daryl Morey getting another job again. But I think going along those lines about how do you rebuild a team that has some star potential, why don't we go to LA? Why don't we go to the Clippers? Why don't we just shake things up? We were shaking up teams, right? Ty Lue, we didn't even want you here. Like, let's be real, we didn't want you here, right? Get him there. Let him build the real team around this. Because I think like I said, he's the one who brought Pat Bev out of nowhere. He brought him from China. Okay, he brought him from China.
I like that.
He drafted Montrezl Harrell. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like that a lot. And yeah, Montrezl Harrell. I think the Clippers are screwed in the short-term future for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess in the even longer-term future because they gave away so many draft picks for PG. I don't know. Like, I would even Daryl Morey. I think he would have trouble making that Clippers a long-term team. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a lot of good people right now, but I think it'd be really tough to pick up the pieces and make it a dynasty kind of team because it isn't right now. It's a short-term like, hey, let's try and get to the championship 2 years in a row and then peace out.
No, that's true. I guess I also kind of imagine more Daryl Morey. Okay, I don't know if you played Madden. You played like the franchise mode, where it's like and you build your own custom team. Where it was like you could be like superstar, or like Smash Mouth team, or like the Cupcake team, where like it's literally trash for like the one player. That's where I kind of see Daryl Morey being like really successful in like, for example, maybe going to Atlanta. Like I think Atlanta would be like a solid place for him to actually. Trae Young wants real talent, and I think this guy could actually bring in real talent to actually support Trae Young.
I would rather him go to a team like that is young and not that good, but then has a lot of like
potential.
Exactly. And I think he could build on that very easily. Whereas I think the Clippers are the opposite. They're a lot of people who've been around a little while who are already established good players, and that contracts are kind of expiring relatively soon and things like that. And I don't think he's going to be as good there as he would be in an Atlanta or again, a Philly or a Knicks, maybe. I don't know. Although Knicks have been making some good moves. So I think Knicks might be on the up and up eventually, maybe.
Right here, man. You got a lot of clickbait in this episode.
Yeah,
Destroy the Warriors. The Knicks are the next best team, is what I'm hearing.
that is not what I said, but
but I think it's going to be an issue with having Daryl Morey as a general manager, just because like the amount of power that he has and leverage that he has had, over his span with the Rockets. It'll be hard to control. I mean, obviously we saw with the Hong Kong tweets. It honestly did cost the NBA like hundreds of millions of dollars that entire time. Literally, like one tweet cost it. And don't get me wrong, it's like the message is like a different story, but the timing and when you're not there, putting people at risk, a business at risk, you know, I won't be surprised if the like NBA, maybe not the NBA, but teams start blackballing. Even though I guess it's not blackballing, but you get the point. That he gets kind of like, he's ignored for the rest of his career. I hope not. I mean, once again, he's very revolutionary in the way he thought about things, but I could definitely see him being detrimental in terms of like the NBA's like image. But let's talk about the Rockets here, because I think that's a bigger issue at hand. You've lost your head coach. You've lost your general manager. Your owner doesn't want to spend money. Like, what future does this team have, right? Like, we have, like, this, as I wrote down in this chat, is it panic mode or sicko mode over here? Okay, like,
for me, it's 100% panic mode. Like, I think the small ball was a great experiment. I loved watching it. I think it was somewhat successful, even though they choked in the playoffs per usual. I think that they showed that small ball is a valid team comp, and I don't think that anyone thought it would be. That being said, I think where they go from here, I have no idea. I don't know. Like you have a lot of good talent still, but you're clearly not there enough, and I don't think you have like any opportunity to make some big moves or anything like that. I don't know. I kind of feel bad for James Harden, especially. Like, he's such a good player, and he's kind of stuck on this team that has not like actually succeeded in winning a finals in forever.
No, that's a good point. I'm going to take the path of sickle mode, and sickle mode means here is we just abandon the ship immediately. All right, we're going to flip 180 flip. Panic mode, in my opinion, is more of like, hey, we try to switch some pieces. I'm going a 180 flip here, and that means getting rid of James Harden as well. And how do you get rid of James Harden? It's actually the other way. How do you get rid of Russell Westbrook? You pair him with James Harden. And the team of interest for me here is the Philadelphia 76ers. And you pair Tobias Harris, hear me out, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, not Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris. We'll take the Al Horford contract. We'll take Ben Simmons and a top 5 protected first-round pick for Russell Westbrook, James Harden. What do you think about this deal?
That's why, if that happened, that would be headline news for a week in the NBA. Like, and it's not even a bad trade, I don't think. Like, at least that's my initial reaction, is I kind of like that for both teams, I think. I hate to say it, but I do. I think Ben Simmons on the Rockets works. I think he doesn't shoot threes at all, and I think they need someone who's actually a forward that doesn't shoot threes. Like, I think that benefits them to have that a little bit. And he kind of fits their Westbrook spot a little bit, and fills that gap, that guy that like just scores in the paint, basically. But it's such a big trade.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, that's huge. But I do like it. And I think Harden and Westbrook, keeping them together is a good move, and that increases their value. I think keeping them together. So you can probably get that extra pick along with them. I like that a lot. But again, that's a blockbuster trade if I've ever heard one.
Hey man, we got to bring out the heat, okay? We can't do these small baby trades. We don't want no Bradley Beals here. We want some real shakeups and bring some real talent to the East. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I'm the Houston Rockets, would I want Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons in this trade?
That's the thing. I don't know. I think Ben Simmons is like just a younger kind of replacement Russell Westbrook for them. And if they got Ben Simmons, they would do the same thing that they did before. It's kind of like small ball kind of stuff. Although Ben Simmons isn't small per se, but he's like. But if they got Joel Embiid, they could actually be a normal functioning team with a big center. So that kind of might benefit them more, even though he's injury prone and I don't know. It depends on what they want to do. If they want to
fucking win.
If they want to win, I say Embiid. If they want to grow, I say Simmons.
Okay, that's a good point. And I think it would be fun watching Doc Rivers, because I don't think Doc Rivers wants projects. I think he's too old for that now. He wants let's be honest. His whole career was built on people that are ready to go. From Boston with the big three, Clippers with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Kawhi, Paul George, has stuff like that. He wants a team that's ready to go. And to be honest, I think James Harden would have a better time working in the East. I know we say it over and over again, but to be honest, it's the top 3-4 teams in the East that are good. The other ones are basically they're just trash. I mean, they're just trash. They're not good. They're not good teams. Yeah. And we saw that he choked several times in the playoffs. They had 2 golden opportunities with Chris Paul at that time. He did get injured in one of those games, and then they blew it against the Warriors to make it to the finals. So it's very doable. I think we know that. It's very doable. I think the Russell Westbrook trade, as much as I kind of liked it, it definitely was panic and rushed, especially for the amount of trade, the picks you gave up for that. OKC is good for life. I can tell you that. OKC is very good for life. But Rockets, good luck. There's a lot to prove on. Shout out to my boy PJ Tucker though, a real one. Sneaker god, pancake lord, the guy knows what's up. Fun time watching his Instagram stories.
It's Instagram.
But we'll see in Cancun next year. I mean, let's be real at this point. Speaking of absolute trash, Tyronn Lue, being the head coach, 5 years, Clippers. One word to describe this. Garbage.
Embarrassment. That's it. Ty Lue, you're not welcome on this podcast either. Get out of here. Absolutely sad. You go from Doc Rivers, who's probably a top tier coach in the current NBA, if not mentionable of all time good coaches, to Ty Lue, who is this guy who got out-coached by LeBron in Cleveland. I mean, we could talk shit about Ty Lue all day, but I think when you already have a shaky team, this Clippers team that was clearly somewhat unstable, I think you need someone to come in and actually whip him into shape, kind of, and give some form of leadership. And Ty Lue is not that guy, I don't think, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the word that I would use is fuck. That's it. That would just be my word because, look, I think they did ask. Well, I'm not even sure. I feel like Steve Ballmer literally just took the reins and was like, it's all my money. I'm going to pick whoever I want at this point. In my opinion, I think he did rush the decision. I think his idea was get someone that's already been there. And by been there, as in been there 1 year with the Doc regime. What does that mean? What would that change? At that point, they still have a similar mentality, similar issues that you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
And we saw Ty Lue with LeBron and then without LeBron. He was fired after 21 games. I don't know how much more you need from that. There's a lot of coaches out there that could have done a good job. Maybe they did ask Paul George and Kawhi as a way of, hey, how do we keep you here? But if I'm Kawhi, I don't want this guy unless he's going to be another puppet for
Yeah.
me. Like if it's going to be, I'm making the call still. Um, but Ty Lue, once again, do not come here. Do not call me. Do not text me, tweet me, whatever social media me. I know you would never do it, but don't even think about it. Don't even think about contacting us in any form of way. We do not want you. Um, some lighter news. Pacers hired their coach. We'll keep this one quick because it's the Pacers. It's Indiana. It's backwoods of America. They hire the Toronto Raptors assistant coach, Nate Bjorkensen. I don't know if I butchered that, but I thought I did a good job. Um, Obviously, I think what I've heard is he is a mini clone of Nick Nurse, which is obviously what we all want. I think everyone in the world loves Nick Nurse. I don't think you can hate on Nick Nurse. He's just like he's a fan favorite. You can't hate on this man. Like, when you're getting the shoulders rubbed by Drake, you're in at that point. Um, with the Pacers team, we said many times they're just a team that's always in the middle of the road. I think they have so much potential, but then they just always become very disappointing. It's not even disappointing. It's like, okay, they did what the Pacers could do. It's like that's all they could do. They didn't have Sabonis. Victor Oladipo he was injured. He wasn't the same when he came back. Most likely once out, of Indiana, just because you can't do much in Indiana. Like it's a small market at that point. But I think it's a solid pick for the Pacers to pick up this coach, someone that's been groomed under Nick Nurse for the next past couple of years with the Raptors, with a winning organization as well. But I think they're gonna have to make a lot of changes. I heard Miles Turner, Sabonis. I heard everyone's on the line besides Brogdon. That's what I've heard. Everyone's open for trades. Management has not changed in a long time. They're similar to that Bulls organization that just recently changed. But what do you just overall? Do you think the Pacers are they going to be middle of the road again, or do you think there's some optimism in their future in the next few years?
I think until you make a big move, and I don't think this is a big move. Until you make a big move, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whether that's trading away most of your starters for new people, maybe that would help. But I think I keep going back to it. I'm a little biased, but like you said, the Bulls completely were like, all right, we're gonna top down, basically get rid of people and hire new people. And I am excited. Now, we don't know if it has worked yet or not, but I'm hopeful and excited. And I think that's a much better strategy than basically ditching your whole lineup. I think you can do a lot more on the management side. And I guess they're trying to do that with this, like someone who's been under Nick Nurse, but I think you need to do a little more. I think you need to I don't know. I don't hate their GM. I think they have made good moves, but it clearly hasn't been enough. Like we said, always middle of the road, and it's just like, eh. So I don't know. I think they need to be a little more bold, which is hard for that team because they're the most winning team ever.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you get a coach, it's like a coach can only do so much. If the players don't follow the strategy, it really comes down to the players, right? You can coach as much as you want, but the players don't show up. They don't show up. I think this next season it's going to be very middle of the road again. I don't really have much, unless there's some serious moves, which is very difficult to do with the team they built. It's very like Spurs-esque in terms of like they groomed these guys. They made sure they played this kind of ball. Can these guys work out outside this game? I don't know. I don't know if they can do that, but I wish them the best because it'd be nice not seeing like the same three teams in the East per usual. Like as much as I love my Bucks, it's like I want a real threat, even though they did with Miami, and that's a different story. It's a different podcast episode. We'll talk about that later. But some recent ones: NBA draft November 18th officially. It'll be done virtually. We'll be doing a few podcasts just based on the draft around that as well. Just depending on what moves, some teams like the Warriors or maybe the Timberwolves, they want to trade down, get some actual talent to support their team, or just to really evaluate. I know we haven't done that in the past, and obviously that was our first season. Something we want to get better at is actually evaluating the game better, even from a draft standpoint. So November 18th, and before that, we'll be talking a lot about the draft and potential guys. Our fan favorites, basically. The last big news here is I heard recently today that DeMar DeRozan's agent said that he didn't say directly, but it's obviously hinted that DeRozan wants out of San Antonio. I want him out. Let's make this clear. San Antonio fan here. I want him out. We got shorted on the Kawhi trade. And like Masai Ujiri is a gangster. He's a criminal at this point. I mean, he did push that officer, right? No, just kidding, Masai. We totally supported you. That was bullshit at that point. Right. But you're a hustler. That's what he hustled us. He's no different than Danny Ainge. All right, the way he committed that crime about gambling on Kawhi Leonard, who was the best player at that point. Correction, which what I'll do later. He was the best player at that time. Not currently, it's LeBron. Let's be real. And finesse us with mid-range jumper DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and a protected first-round pick. Are you kidding me? We gave Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard, and you want a title off of that. But I want him out. I'm okay with this. I'm okay, even if we have to throw like one young guy with him just to get him out. I'm all for this. Where do you think DeRozan goes from here in terms of a good fit?
I don't know. I think you need him as like the supporting guy, kind of like he was in Toronto before. Like he was almost yes, he was really good, but I mean it of like you need him somewhere where he's a duo to a 3-point shooter. Like Kyle Lowry. I think that was Kyle Lowry could take the deep balls and DeRozan could take the mid-range all day. And I think that was a great combo. And I think you need to find somewhere that fits like that. Maybe even somewhere like a Portland, like maybe a DeRozan for CJ trade. I don't know, but I think that could be interesting.
Interesting. Look, I'm a fanboy. I'm a CJ fanboy for sure. Like, I think that's actually. I'm pretty sure Portland would say no. I'd just be like, "That's silly. Why would we do that?" I think at this point of his career, I think you're right. I think he is more of like he's no longer the unless it's for a bad team, right? He can be a face for it. Like he could be for the Knicks or something. If I'm DeRozan, I probably want the destination to be Miami. Like, let's be real. Like that's the destination. They need that third potential star talent to take over.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot, especially with the pair of him and Jimmy. I think that almost brings the team more balanced, I guess, because you have those heroes, Robinsons, that basically only shoot threes. Except a hero does occasionally run up for a layup or something, but in general, they are 3-point like great shooters, and I think Jimmy is that DeRozan factor on the team right now. But if you give them another person that has that mid-range skill and that ability to, I can run up in the paint, I can take this pretty deep mid-range shot and make it consistently, I think that adds a lot of talent to that team. I don't know. I don't know what the Heat would give them though. I think the Heat have a lot of good pieces working together right now.
That's true. I mean, the team really doesn't need to add on more. But I should make this very clear now. DeMar DeRozan, you're not welcome to this podcast anymore. Should have been, man. Should have straight up just been like, I want out at this point. Don't have your agent talking for you. You're dead to me. I mean, like, you're a cool guy, but you're dead to me at this point. So with that, what I want to do is a kind of like a season synopsis. We're gonna write a paper basically here about my favorite time this summer, and the 3 points I want to hit are my favorite moments this season, best moments in the bubble, and then best plays in the bubble. So, which one do you want to start off with?
Let's go back a little bit. Let's go to best moments.
Best moments. All right. I'll start off with you because you seem very confident about your best moments here. What would you say is your best moment this season?
I think for me, I will never forget. I know it was overhyped, but I will never forget Zion's first game.
You mean his
In
first L? First L. That's right, Zion.
that's irrelevant. Him, I remember my jaw on the floor of him making those threes, like 4 in a row, like just. He pulls back from 3. I was like, okay, he's a big dude. He's not gonna make 3. He's never made a 3 in his life. That's not true, but and he does it. And I was like, dang, okay, this guy's got some skill. Does it again. Okay. Does it like 2 more times. I was like, geez, man, if this guy consistently does this, that's scary. And I loved watching that. Like that just made me really excited for the future of basketball in general. Like I think we got a lot of old guys that we always hype up. LeBron, Kawhi, I guess, even though he's not old. But people like that we have been hyping up for forever. But to see the young guys like Zion, like Ja, come through in such big ways is just awesome to see. And it just got me really hyped.
That's a good point. I'm gonna be the basher and be like, it was very overhyped. Once again, hold this L, Zion. All right, hold this L like the big fridge you are, like a little L magnet on you at that point. You lost in my spirit. That's what I'm saying, fans. Chill, chill, chill. Going along your lines, it's very optimistic for the future, so long as he stays healthy. My biggest concern, look, they've been out of the bubble for at least over a month now. He better be working out. He better be on that Peloton, all right? They sent him a Peloton, all right? I'm just saying. At that point, but my favorite moment was, it's a tough one. I want to say Ja Morant rise, and I mean literal rise. Like the man's posters, unreal. Okay, the man's posters were very unreal.
Same.
He was literally murdering people. I was very scared of some of these dunkers. I was like, please just come down safely. Just Ja overall, just in terms of like being in the shadow of Zion immediately, and then immediately getting out, winning the Roy. That was just fun to see. Yeah. That guy really represents, I think, what Memphis Grizzlies really needed, a true grit and grind. And yeah, no, that was just like a perfect fit for them. Any other good moments for you of the season?
I mean, early on, I think it was one of the first games of the season actually was Clippers versus Lakers in the Battle of LA. And I think throughout the season, every time that happened, I think the series went pretty close. I think it was within like one game. I don't remember what it was. It was always exciting to see. But in the end, Clippers trash, like we said. Like I said from the start, fuck all y'all. Y'all were like, oh, Clippers are good. Clippers got Kawhi. Clippers got Paul George. Paul George is a good player. No, they're trash. Get out of here.
That's fair. Yeah, you guys are all wrong there. I mean, the Clippers, I think they evened out the series in the end, or the Lakers won only one game. Obviously, we wanted to see this in the playoffs. Didn't happen because, like you said, they were just trash at that point. They blew a 3-1 lead. But I think my other favorite moment was, I think just right before the season started. And it was just free agency. It came to Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. The Paul George thing was nuts. When we all got that message, I was just like, wait, what? This is happening? And the amount of like picks they got, like just the free agency overall. Russell Westbrook being moved. The other one is probably the Anthony Davis trade, obviously. Everyone said it was a big gamble, but I mean, now when you look back at it, I'm like, my only game. I think both sides actually won for sure now. Made sure that Anthony Davis was a big winner right here, and obviously he's opting out and re-signing again as well. So
yeah, and I think Brandon Ingram, most improved player, flourished in New Orleans. I think that was a great, again, like you said, a trade that benefited both sides. Actually, maybe clearly the Lakers did well with Anthony Davis winning everything, but I think the Pelicans do have a good core group moving forward.
No, exactly. It's just a really interesting season overall. With that, let's move into our best moments of the bubble.